In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, we're going to show you how you can enhance the impact of a video that has either instruction or some measure of training by using a tool called Sketch Animation. It adds just a little bit more punch to your presentation. So let me illustrate that and then we'll get into some of the details of the tool. Let's assume first of all that we have this video and we're using it for a developer, and we want them to see in our plan what we would do to enhance this land for development. We're going to remove a couple of trees and then move the drainage ditch. So I could use a text or title to illustrate that. So if I play this, we say remove this tree for the first one, and then we repeat that for the second tree. And then we have a line near the bottom of the screen about removing the drainage ditch. Now that works, but we can make it even more interesting than that. So what I've done is I've taken some sketch animations, put them on tracks, and I've turned them off. I'll turn them on now. And we'll replay this with them on. So it's the same presentation. Now we've got a scribble in front of the first tree. We've got a different one in front of the second tree. And then we have a line that moves from left to right about the drainage ditch. It just makes it a bit more interesting. So let's look a little bit about this tool and its limitations. Now we're going to show you a second example where we can do this with more of a training video on software. And here we've taken this Excel training and we've highlighted this area that we want the user to be aware of where they can do some things with certain kinds of numbers. This is a very, very common thing in training videos for software. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to move just to a blank area in my first video. And to get to the tool, you click on the overlay room in the upper left corner. And I find the best way to get to this is to use a search. I'm going to use a search called Sketch. I've typed it in once already and PowerDirector remembered it, so all I need to do is click on it. And here, if I look, I find I have my 14 different sketch animations. There's several that I use over and over. There's some that I use less frequently. But let's say we want to scribble out this tree, and I'm going to take this and drag this in the frames where I want it to be active. Now, a thing you have to keep in mind to use sketch animation, wherever it's on the screen during that duration of time, you don't want your camera moving. Because it'll look really weird. So it works great for screen capture. In some cases, it also works in a condition like this where the camera's on a tripod. Now it comes in rather large, so I can resize it just to say I want to remove the tree. And we'll go near the end. I can change the height and I can change the width. And I can click on the edit button above the timeline. That gives me more options. Oftentimes I will change the width, and I can also change the opacity if that matters to me. I cannot keyframe it. Or I can take the colors and change it. If I drag over the color spectrum and just hold it down, it will change to whatever color I want to use. Or I can click on the eyedropper, click on that, move anywhere in my project and click there, and then click on OK. It will give me a representation in the lower right corner of the screen. I've made this full screen, which I prefer to do so I can pick better. Click on OK, and now I've got a different color. You can also flip it if you turn the flip on, so from where the drawing starts and where it stops, upside down or left to right. I'll leave my flip off in this case. The other thing you have is output duration in 2 categories. Now, right now I have my default is 5 seconds. If you look in the time code below the image, you notice it's 5 seconds. So my playback right now is 1 second, and it's on the screen for 4. Let's see what happens when we change this. Let's take the on-screen time, the freeze time, change it to 3. I type the number 3, press enter. And now I've actually shortened this. You notice my total time code is 4 seconds. I could make the first one 2, so it will draw for 2 seconds, and now I'm back up to 5. So the total of these two plus any here, we'll get to this in a moment, will give you the duration of your clip, and you can change it on the timeline if you want. And so that's what the dark area and the orange area is about. The dark area is your playback time. The orange area is your freeze time. So if I go back to the beginning and play this, we see 2 seconds on the screen followed by 5 seconds frozen. Now we have these others called ending effects. What do they do? If I turn on the ending effect, you notice instantly my time code goes from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. And in editing, I have two options. I can reverse or I can fade. If I want to reverse, let's say I played it at 2 seconds. Maybe I want to reverse it at 2 seconds so they're the same. Notice now we have 7 seconds. 2 plus 3 plus 2. So we also now have another area below the previous screen that tells me that this is the ending effect. So I have the draw, freeze, and end now. And if I play this, I'm drawing for 2, I'm on the screen for 3, and I'm undrawing, if you will, or reversing for 2. I could change it to reverse or fade. I can't do both of them, but notice if I click on fade, I'm back to 6 seconds. So I'm going to click on OK. And now during the course of this sketch animation, we have those 3 qualities on the drawing. So it's a very nice way to control what you're doing. Now let me show you another thing that we have. We have this diagonal. I'm bringing it on the screen so you can see something. Is that you are not limited to a diagonal. In fact, before, when I had the drainage ditch illustration, I just rotated it 90 degrees, changed the location, changed the width, and it drew from left to right. And so you can use that anytime as well. Let's look at a different kind of use for this tool when you're trying to teach or instruct or emphasize something, and that's when it comes to this Excel tutorial. One of the things I wanted to do when we're talking about how to format the number in the total field was to use a sketch animation. And so I have it drawing something there in the box, and it highlights these values. Let's look again at how that's composed. I'll click on that and click on Edit. And you notice you can change the width again to whatever you want using all the colors. You can change how long it takes to draw, which is your playback time. Let's add another second to that. I'll type in 2 and press Enter. Now it's slightly slower. And how long it's going to stay on the screen, this one has no ending effect. Now the nice thing about it is you can take these, I'll click on OK, you can take these raw values. Let's take a circle. I'll drag it down. I'll put my playhead where I can see it. And again, you can take the circle, turn it into an ellipse in either direction. You can resize. You can move it wherever you want. And with the Edit button above the timeline, once again, you have all these controls that you can use to make it exactly what you want when you're trying to emphasize something or illustrate the importance of something. Say I want this to draw slowly, well, I'll just increase the playback time. We'll go maybe 4 seconds and 1 frame. And now it will draw very slowly if I want, or I can make it very quick. And I can fade it out when I'm done or not. Now what happens if you change the duration on the timeline? Now right now if I look at this and click on my time code, it says I'm 8 seconds and 1 frame. And if I click back on my edit, I see I am 4:01 and 4. There's my 8. So let's change this on the timeline. And now if I click on my time code, I see I'm 11 seconds 25 frames. How did it split it up? All I need to do is click on the edit button, and we see where it changed it. Now we're 528 and 527. So you see it automatically readjusts the playback time and the freeze time proportionally when you change the duration in your project. And if you want to change that to something different again, you could be more precise. Maybe I want 5 seconds, and this is pretty close to 6. And so now I've got 11 seconds. And it changed it back on my timeline to my 11-second mark. So between the two, you have a lot of control over this. It's a very useful tool that I'd encourage you to experiment with, especially when you're trying to bring extra attention to something you're teaching or telling your audience in your video projects in CyberLink PowerDirector.